And now to Your Voice, Your Vote. All eyes are on Michigan as voters are heading to the polls for the presidential primary.
It is the last primary before Super Tuesday next week on March 5th. The polls here are open until 8 o'clock tonight. And as long as you're in line by 8, you will still be able to vote. You can find your polling location and see your sample ballot right now at 13onyourside.com.
The polls are open today in Michigan, but voters were able to cast ballots early and in person before Election Day.
13 on Your Side's Kiara Patterson is at St. Isidore Church in Grand Rapids, where there are 2 precincts. And Kiara, how's the voter turnout there?
Juliet, today is the presidential primary in Michigan where many voters came out, but there were 9 days of early voting leading up to the Election Day. This is the first time Michigan has the option of early voting in Ottawa County. Many voters came out to cast their ballots. Election Supervisor of Ottawa County, Caitlin Bard, says Ottawa County has seen a pretty good turnout today so far.
So here in Ottawa, we had 4 vote centers total, and we saw about 1,500 voters come out to vote in those vote centers. But we've also seen a really strong turnout of absentee ballots being returned back to our local clerks. And as of this morning, that number was at over 33,000 ballots returned.
There have been a lot of big changes in Michigan after the early voting was approved by voters in 2022. The 9 days of early voting ended on Saturday. Caitlin Bard says early voting has allowed voters to have more accessibility in their voting. Reporting in Grand Rapids, 13 on Your Side, Kiara Patterson.
As Election Day continues, Kent County is considered one of the top counties to watch nationwide for elections throughout the year. 13 on Your Side political reporter Josh Albertus is live in Ada. Josh, what is so key about this area in particular?
Well, what's happening in places like Ada, Juliet, these suburban areas, is exactly why Kent County is considered as much of a national bellwether as it is for the general elections, and tonight as well. In large part, there's been a shift in Kent County more towards the Democratic side, in large part due to these kinds of suburban areas like Ada. Some of those have been more gradual. When you take a look at places like East Grand Rapids, that's been more gradual, voted for Mitt Romney, the Republican, in 2012. Then many of those precincts voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and then stuck with Joe Biden in 2020. Here in Ada, that's been a more immediate shift during the last couple cycles during the Trump era. If you take a look back at 2016, all 8 voting precincts here in Ada voted for Donald Trump, but that margin, fast forward to 2020, that margin was cut in half. Half of the voting precincts here in Ada flipped to Joe Biden in 2020 when he also flipped the county, which means these kinds of suburban voters are going to be all important to all campaigns if they hope to win the state. And this means that issues that are top of mind for these kinds of voters are likely going to be key for different campaigns' messaging. We asked the member of Congress representing Kent County what she's heard those issues are. She said some of those issues include immigration, local gun violence, but one she said comes up most of all.
The number one thing that we are still hearing about, Josh, is the economy. You know, a lot of people are beginning to feel things coming back, and you know, they're recognizing they might have a little bit more in their bank account. Gas prices are down, but you know, they're still feeling the economic pinch. You know, things like medical bills, things like the cost of prescription drugs.
When it comes to tonight, President Joe Biden is seen as likely to take the Democratic nomination here in Michigan. But when it comes to the Republican side, areas like this are where Nikki Haley has really run up her numbers the most in other early primary states. So likely, if Nikki Haley sees any kind of path to victory here in Michigan tonight, it is likely to run right through Kent County. Juliet?
Thank you, Josh, for that live report. We will continue to cover the presidential primary throughout this full 90 minutes. Coming up in about 8 minutes, we'll talk to a political science professor about this election day. And then be sure to tune into 13 on Your Side late night starting at 11 o'clock for the results. You can also find information at 13onyourside.com/elections.